Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of the Prismatic Dragonfly Tavern. My name's Kira, the DM here at PDT. Hope you've all been having a great weekend. This is our second episode back from a brief break we had at the beginning of the year. We're going to jump into it tonight pretty quick. Just had a couple fun announcements that we wanted to share with the community. Mythical Family just got to go to a local convention over in Carson City here in Nevada called Meeple Peak, and it was a great turnout, great time, went off without any hitches, met a whole bunch of local creators, and looking forward to going there next year. And now we get to switch into preparing for RageCon 2023, which is another convention here in Nevada, and I highly recommend that if you are in the area or willing to travel to Reno at the end of June, beginning of July, that you check out RageCon. RageCon is from June 30th to July 2nd at the Nugget Resort and Casino. We were there last year. Ran a couple games. We had a booth there. We did a live show, Munchausen. And I think that is on our YouTube if you want to check it out. It was a great time. Everybody dressed up in full cosplay for it, and we're probably going to be doing it again. You can check out ragecon.com if you'd like more details, but it's the Reno Area Gaming Expo, the best 3 days of tabletop gaming in Northern Nevada. There's tons of games that you can sign up for and play, from TTRPGs to board games. I think there might have been 1 or 2 LARPing ones last year. Tons of panels that you can go to, and of course, lots of awesome vendors, including local vendors like us, The Glass Die, a whole bunch of other homegrown businesses and creators. So if you get a chance, check out RageCon from June 30th to July 2nd here in Reno. And I think that's all the Mythical Family announcements for now. But if you kind of want to see some of our stuff that we did at Meeple Peak, join us on our socials because we posted a lot of that content. So check out our Twitch, which you're already on. So just go check out some of the videos on the channel. We have a TikTok, we have Twitter, we have all sorts of different things. The one I recommend the most, even though you should join all of them and check out all of them, is our Discord, because we're all on that Discord. And we have a pretty active Discord of both online community members and local members, and you can get to hang out with us, share memes, watch the cast make fun of their DM, and all kinds of stuff. So please come check us out. But I have a bunch of fun announcements coming here in the future too, because there's a big project that we've been working on for about a year. Not there yet, almost. Hopefully in a month or so, maybe we get to make some big announcements, so stay tuned. In the meantime though, let's go ahead and jump in tonight's episode of the Prismatic Dragonfly Tavern. We're going ahead so in our last episode, we just resumed after a month and a half, 2-month break that we started at the beginning of the year. We had just rejoined our crew in the town of Orishire after a week of time had passed, where they finally got some very valuable downtime. In last session, it was a lot of catching up with each other, following some leads on multiple plots that are going on, multiple quests and different things of import to the party. Currently, they are looking for a dear friend of the party, Matilda, who vanished seemingly overnight in the city of Orishire. They are dealing with the aftermath of an assassination attempt that they may or may not have been involved in. There's also this, global thing that's been going on since the beginning with some weird kind of drink. No big deal. So they have a couple different things that they're I just saw the head tilt. I'm like, wait, I forgot about that plot point. That's what that felt like. You have information on that too.
Wait, what?
One of the last things I told you about when Cree was gone for a while. Remember, there's details in that message. Anyway,
yes, 100%.
They have a couple different plots that are going on right now. So the last episode was kind of catching up with each other, reuniting one of the party members with the party, and we left off with the close of that evening. Vander was going out to catch the moon and stars on the Bay of Orishire with one of the visiting diplomats, Skalea. I think everybody else was turning in for the evening. We're going to pick up 4 days from that. It's been a pretty quiet, uneventful 4 days. Not much has happened because everybody in the city, or at least everybody in your sort of hemisphere at the Guards Keep, Kovita, the guard captain, Skalea, the leader of the Silver Knights from the town of Arlia, they have all been in constant diplomatic meetings with all the visiting diplomats, trying to smooth over and figure out the assassination attempt that just happened over in the city of Vinzor. So nobody really knows who's responsible for it, at least publicly. Most people are considering it an international incident, and there's a lot of worry surrounding what happened at Vinzor, if Orishire was involved. You also know of the professor that you guys talked to a few times, Satari, the arcane professor. She's been set up at Matilda's shop, conducting some research, trying to figure out what happened to her. She hasn't had any new findings in the last 4 days, so you've had 4 days, once again, kind of downtime. So if there's anything important that you got up into those 4 days, or if there's messages that you wanted to send to people, or anything you really wanted to achieve, we'll go ahead and kind of handle that before we start. We're going to start... It's been 4 days since last episode. We're starting on the morning of the 5th day, and you'll all be having breakfast over in the diplomatic quarters in your permanent rooms that have been granted to you by the city of Orishire for your victory against the Hag and stopping the Haven Snouts from hurting citizens of the city and everything that you did to become the heroes of Orishire. So that's where we're going to pick up. You'll all be having breakfast together in one of your rooms at the diplomatic quarters. But before that, anything that we want to take care of that happened in those 4 days. Sending messages, visits, talking to important NPCs, stuff like that.
Yeah, I know Sonny and Cray had some ideas for messages.
Okay.
Yeah, I have 2 written out, so I can do
Oh,
that
did you
whenever.
count the words?
Yes.
I'm so proud. I'm so proud. I
The
love
first
it.
one is just a letter.
Okay.
Dearest Frankie, I am in dire need of access to unique magical goods which may have recently crossed through your particular network. Matilda's Emporium has recently vanished, and included is a list of particularly unique goods. Please respond with the urgency of the astute, aspiring shadow broker I know you to be, with any related information.
Okay.
Your friend and pal, Gaspard Derici.
And you sent that via post. So you did the magical post that's in Orishire,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Okay. Did you pay for express? Did you just send it through normal means?
I would have paid for, well, Sonny would have loaned me the cash to pay for
Loan your own money back to you, yes, because you cannot be trusted with it.
You're my guarantor.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's good.
How much was it?
If for express, it's 5 gold. It's
Okay.
not. It's not that much money for you guys right now, but still.
Just keeping track.
So you sent that, and that you sent that to Frankie, who last you know was where?
He is a 15-year-old boy who lives in...
Raise face.
Convenient details that have not been shared with the party.
Yes.
Gaspard started from humble origins. Where am I from? The Core.
Yes, the Kingdom of
Thank
Core.
But the capital of Core specifically.
Yeah,
Um,
which is also Nimcor. It's very easy in this specific case. So
cool. And then I have a simple message from my good pink-haired friend. Neswin! Limited spells. Issue grows more dire by the moment. Need assistance locating Matilda's Emporium? Help would be genuinely appreciated and favors returned.
So, Neswin is the assistant to the very famous and well-known mage Anomaly, who is one of the leaders of the Anomalous Conglomerate. And you bumped into her when you were all undercover at Vinzor, setting up your assassination, and just happened to bump into her, find out she was an aide of Anomaly, kind of got to know each other, had some interesting interactions. And at the end of the last episode, you contacted her out of nowhere with sending, and she laughed and didn't really get the seriousness of your messages with the limited spell slots that you had. So this is once you rested, you followed up with that message.
Bonnie's made sure that, hey, we're clear about how these
Did Sonny like sit down and make Kree like write out the message?
I'm sure it was her idea. Yes.
Okay, like here, we're gonna count the words. What you're gonna say. Okay, so that's what you sent Neswin.
Sonny just stop with the pleasantries.
I have a
Okay.
question for you. Does Frankie know how to read?
Yes.
Okay.
Again, he's an aspiring shadow broker, so he's a fixer, producer, whatever you need.
And you know, the aspiring fixer producer is the only part that Kriya shared with us. We have no idea this is a 15-year-old kid.
Yeah,
Great,
great.
yes.
Actually cast us.
Oh my god.
Oh, right, correct. I don't know that though.
I
I
assume
feel like we've talked about Frankie before.
Have we might have
on
earlier
and off a little
Yeah.
bits, but not a ton of backstory. But you So you would have told everybody that you sent the letter and the sending, though. So it's like public knowledge or group knowledge of the two messages, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the day that you choose to send that, which I assume would be the morning after the last session because you needed to recharge your spell slots, so you had sending again, Neswin would respond more seriously, though you can hear like the chuckle like being repressed in her message because she's just kind of amused at the absurdity of your messages out of nowhere. She finds this very humorous for some reason, so you hear her voice. She is smiling, if not chuckling under her breath as she sends it to you. And you can have a brief conversation with her, but the first thing that she'd ask is, what is Matilda's Emporium? Because she has no idea what that is. So we don't have to go back and forth for every single sending, but the quick conversation can kind of be, she doesn't know what Matilda's Emporium is. She would ask clarifying questions about like, what's going on? What do you want? Where are you? What's this? So it would be a lot of questions for you to get back to. You could probably do it with the sendings you had that day, maybe have to wait to the next day to get all the information to Neswin about like, hey, this is who Matilda is. This is the Emporium. We're in this place called Orishire. She will immediately know of that because of the assassination attempt that has made global news. And she lets you know that they have a representative that is there right now. So they have somebody from the anomalous conglomerate in Orishire at the very keep that you're at, because they are one of the global powers that is represented there. So she says that she could get there in, because they don't have a thunder path that's easily accessible yet, at least. She can't get there for a little while, so she recommends working with one of her comrades who is there, which I don't think you'd have a problem with, but you can let me / her know if there's a problem with that.
Okay, good news. We have a representative, a friend here from the conglomerate who could possibly serve as a confidant, an assistant. I don't really understand the nature of how they would help us, but maybe.
It's not a divination specialist, but maybe at least someone who could help keep eyes out.
Exactly. I mean, basically, any sighting is worth its weight in gold. I mean, so we could do that when we've, recuperated and figured out our next steps.
No, this makes sense. This makes sense.
All right, I will thank Neswin tomorrow when I'm capable of reaching out again.
And she mentions the name of the contact is Roywin Ralnor, and she is also a gnome. And the description that she gives is literally, look for the gnome with tattoos.
What's that gnome's last name?
Ralnor. Raulnor.
That's hilarious.
Why?
Because I played a gnome and that was her last name.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, a lot of the stuff that I generate is from like the big generators and stuff when
That is true.
when I have names set up for characters in advance. So definitely could have been one that was in a different generator or something like that. So, but yeah, so she gives you the name and the description. Anything else in those 4 days?
Some group of us were going to pop over to see Agir.
Oh yes, you guys had mentioned that. Did you just so you decided that you'll actually go try to find him then and say hi?
Yeah, just last known location.
Okay.
And it might give Vander a chance to meet the elusive Agir.
Yes. Yeah, you'd set out the following day from where we left off. Okay. So Agvir's hut, as you guys probably remember, is not a full day's journey. It's a couple hours outside of Orishire. So were you guys going to go on foot, or were you taking steeds from the keep or something?
Yeah, maybe to expedite it. Yeah, we would take horses.
Okay, so then yeah, it's only going to be an hour and a half, maybe two, to Agvir's from there. We're gonna role play that. We're gonna actually start there
boy.
because
Oh boy.
and I just don't want to make that like a quick scene
No.
kind of thing for multiple reasons. So we'll say that was it just you and Vander? Who's going on this? Like what was
If
the
it was
plan?
the same time that Kree and I were sorting out the messages, probably just you two.
Okay. Yeah, just the two of us then.
You tell Agvir I miss them.
I will.
Okay.
Send our best wishes.
All right. Well, you can easily, the guards' keep, in a way, is your keep at this point because of everything you've done for Orishire, plus how many of the guards know you. And it's insanely easy to just take 2 horses from the stable for the day. They'll prepare them for you and everything else like that. It's about 2 hours to Agvir's, and I would say that it's pretty easy for you all to follow the trail. You eventually pass the point at where you actually met Vander, struggling with the invisible, the invisible ghost fight in the middle of the road. And then you can trace your steps back down that road further and eventually veering off north into the forest. You will have to leave the horses near the road just because of how thick the undergrowth and the forest is in that area, but it's easy enough to tie them up. Both of you just give me a general perception check or a nature check. You can choose.
18.
18?
15.
15. Okay. So both of you, Cass is leading the way, I assume, because Vander wouldn't know. You notice that the area is very flush with life. Since you've been here, which has been a couple weeks, maybe a month at the most, it looks like there's been a whole bunch of new growth, and the whole area continues to flourish in a way that seems strange, like it's being pushed by magic. Like, not in a bad way, but it just definitely seems like maybe a druid grove would be nearby. Maybe there's a druid responsible for it or something. This is kind of the stuff that you saw when you were originally here. It's just continued. As you make your way towards Agvir's, though, you both detect a weird metallic scent in the air, though.
Does it trigger any memory of like, yes, metallic scent equals thing?
It's a very specific one. Roll an intelligence check. And Vander can do the same if you want to.
I was gonna say, is it like blood?
Yeah, there's lots of things that can be metallic.
15.
15?
No.
The dice just says NO on it. What was it?
A 3?
A 3? Okay.
Probably a no.
Smells metally. Metal.
It tastes like how you would suck on a key. I don't know.
That's what I do in my spare
How
time.
do you know what that tastes like?
I'll
Vander
expose
is a good
myself.
boy. We never said he was a smart boy.
Oh. It's not as clear cut as like it smells like blood or something like that. It smells like the discharge of magic is the best way to explain it, kind of thing. When magic is used, especially if you fire up a bunch of spells in a row, or if you're standing in the same spot and you're, enchanting scrolls and you enchant like 50 scrolls over the day or how many ever you can, kind of thing, eventually there's going to be this kind of like weird smell that hangs in the air that has a metallic like tint to it, is the best way to describe it, of just arcane or whatever energy being discharged repeatedly, like ionizing the air almost. So it hangs heavy in the forest as you two get closer to where Agvir's hut was. I guess we called it a hut, but house. So you just notice that about when you're like halfway there. So
I think we're getting close. We should look for traps because last time there were lots and lots of traps. So I'm going to keep an eye out for traps.
okay. You have any abilities or spells, or is it just kind of just walking a little more slowly, cautiously?
I can roll survival.
That would be a good one. You can go ahead and roll survival
That's
for it.
all I got.
Yeah, it's going to be slow and be perceptive.
Okay. Be
Works
perceptive.
out. I got a dirty 20.
Dirty 20? Okay. Nothing immediately, and you kind of notice as you study the surrounding area, Vander, it doesn't even look like anybody's walked this way for quite some time. You detect a few like worn animal tracks, a couple broken twigs and leaves and stuff, but it really looks like nobody's been at least where you're going right now, or this path. As you get closer though and start to see a bit of like smoke wisping up from the trees where you assume a chimney or something is, you do spot, you don't know if it's a trap per se, but you see something kind of warbling in your vision, buried in the bushes, and it seems like runes that might be there or some kind of an arcane disturbance just out of the corner of your eye, maybe something to be cautious about. Like, you can weave your way through them really easy. There's not many of them, but like one bush in particular looks like it has an enchantment on it that could be a rune or something like that.
You see that?
Oh, yes. Let's not touch that. Okay. So we will weave our way through.
Okay. There's not many of them. In total, you're only going to see about 4 or 5. Maybe the 5th one is kind of iffy at it because it's hard to see. Kind of looks like the warbling is kind of like a heat wave coming off a highway kind of thing. You know, you just see a faint distortion around it. Easy enough for you to avoid. Eventually, you break through the very thick undergrowth and foliage into the small clearing where Eggvir's hut is, or was, because as you go through the trees, you notice the kind of white-black smoke that's twisting up very slowly through the trees. Very small amount of it is coming from the ashes of the building, and it looks like the entire thing has been absolutely leveled. You can tell, Vander, that a decent-sized house stood here at one point. There are some very beautiful logs that probably rolled off to the side, half charred from whatever caused this. It looks like there's a garden outside that was burned. It looks like the whole area had a lot of foliage, but it's all kind of been burned and it's gutted at the moment. And there is no immediate sign of Eggvir anywhere.
This could be an illusion. This has happened before with runes. I am going to go towards that and try and find, like, that border that was around what's-his-face's farm.
Tall One's farm.
Yeah.
Are you just, I mean, that was an invisible barrier, so it's like, are you going to just walk up and wave your hands, or you're, like, throwing dirt? Like, what are you doing to try and
I guess
test
I'm
this?
going forward and hoping I'm going to cross a barrier and
And
be
then
like,
suddenly
there's Agvir.
see something different
Yeah.
kind of thing. Okay. You can walk up and into the ruins. Everything's cooled now. It's a very small wisps of smoke that are going up. This seems like it probably happened a while ago. Not any immediate way to gauge how long ago, but it's definitely not fresh, to say the least. Sadly, there is no invisible barrier that you can find. It looks like this may be reality as far as you're able to tell at the moment. But go ahead and make a perception check for me.
23.
23. Your eyes are immediately drawn to something that glints in the ash, kind of near where the front door was, where you remember the front door being. And it looks like a... See Nat looking at me from the corner. It looks like a very specific black sword that you happen to remember that has runes on it that is cracked and shattered in an unusable state by some force that sits at the doorway buried in the ash. Talwyn's sword.
Right. Yeah, I followed that.
So is the same broken sword that we brought with us, or is it just a similar sword?
Yes.
Similar sword. It's
Okay.
it's not the one that you had brought with you, because this one is different shade of black, different runes, but it's obviously the type of weapon a rune knight would wield, and it is very evocative of the one that you saw Talwyn with, and the one that you had brought as well.
Savander. You remember how I said we had run into some trouble with Talwyn, the arcane knight farmer?
Yes.
This is his sword.
Oh.
I think he might have Agvir.
Why would he want your friend?
They were enemies. They had a business deal that went wrong. So Talwyn was like, you should go kill the giant. And we were like, okay. And then we got there and was like, no, the giant's actually a really nice person, and it's the farmer who's evil and is sucking the water and livelihood out of the land to everyone. And so then we turned on the farmer, and it didn't go well. So
Why did you attack the farmer?
because he was killing all the farms around him.
Oh, so like a weird monopoly.
Yeah, but by pulling like the life force out of all of the surrounding farms, so their crops failed and his flourished, and it was feeding into one of the tree pods
A
from treetop.
weird evil druid is what I'm getting from this.
He had like I think he stole the Agvir's magic because yeah. So like oddly enough, not an evil druid. I was hoping for a druid.
Why would you hope for a druid?
Because we're druid adjacent. We know druids.
Yeah, but they give us a bad rep, I guess.
I
Evil
mean,
ones.
that is true, but then we can overthrow the ones giving us an evil reputation. But this ended up being a soldier who knew arcane magic, and it was scary.
Okay.
Gaspard was a cat for like a day.
Aw.
Yeah.
So, I guess we should take the sword.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I do a check to see if it's like trapped in some capacity? Like if I touch it, it'll like.
Yeah, well, you can. Are you going to go the route of like the I'm just going to touch it and see what happens, or are you going to try and employ some kind of a method to see if it's enchanted, or what are you doing?
So since I can see the magical aura of some stuff, maybe I could use that to my advantage since I'm not technically arcane.
You're not technically arcane, but you do possess the ability to kind of focus and see those different auras and just kind of distortions that different kinds of magic produce, which is how you saw the original shadow beast that you were fighting. Yeah, you can spend a moment to focus on it. Just do a it's not really a good check for that. Just roll it. Just do it. Just roll a d20 for me.
Sure.
Actually, sorry. Roll a percentile. That's going to be better for the. Your dice are so pretty. I forgot that you have that set.
Am I going
With the
high or low?
inclusions.
Say what?
High or low?
I'm not telling you.
Okay. How's a 68?
68. One
Almost
digit
nice.
short from success.
Almost
sadly.
nice.
I know. Wait, I
Um,
can just flavor it. It's 69 now. I cheated my dice. It's
You spend a moment focusing on it, and you see a bit of a distortion around it. But as far as you can tell, when you typically can spend a moment focusing like this and look at something that is enchanted, you just see a general color or around it, or kind of like that warble in the air, meaning there is magic here. There is an enchantment here, kind of thing. It looks like there was an enchantment on the sword, probably a powerful one because there's still echoes of it. But like literally, you can see the aura broken with all the pieces of it scattered. You're pretty confident that it was enchanted heavily, but it doesn't look like it's trapped as far as you can tell. You don't see a red aura. You don't see multiple auras stacked up on each other. You don't see something like emanating an aura from underneath it kind of
Okay.
thing. So it's split into about 9 pieces right now. The biggest piece is just a chunk of the middle, but the hilt is intact, and then there's the other pieces kind of around it.
I'll carefully scoop them all up into a bag with
Okay.
like a cloth so I don't directly touch it.
Okay. Yeah, there's nothing. You pick it up, and you notice that like as you pick it up, the aura just kind of disintegrates into the air. Probably was trying to hang on as the pieces are close to each other, and then you disturbed them, and it was finally completely dispelled or something like that. They're not hot. Nothing happens. You just pick them up and can kind of put them in a cloth. So
I'm
We
gonna
should use these.
what?
Should use these to track, I assume.
Yes, I don't think I can do that. I can't do anything about that. But
Hopefully our friends can.
I think so. I'm gonna look for like footprints to see if it's like into the woods. There's some giant footprints.
well, there wasn't anything the way that you came, obviously, but if you spend a bit looking around the area, 2 things become obvious. No, there's no giant footprints. There's no footprints. There's no bodies. So even though there was obvious something fire-based consumed this house, you don't see a giant skeleton, you don't see a human skeleton, you don't see body parts, you don't see anything except the places burned down and the sword was there.
This is very curious. We should go tell the others.
Yes.
I don't like this.
This is concerning. Yes.
Yeah,
Hopefully your friend is okay.
I would hope so. But it could, I mean, not to find a silver lining in this. But if Talon was able to trace Agvir's magic and find out he's here, that means we could trace Matilda.
Yes. With runes.
Yes.
I don't think the filters caught that.
Oh, what? What Ray said?
No, I think the snort got past the filters.
Oh, goddamn it.
They usually do.
Um,
Okay. All right. We're gonna head back to town.
okay. Are you going the exact same way? What's going on?
Yeah, I think the same way. The
Okay.
most expedient way.
Yeah, you took the most expedient path from the road to Egvir's because that's where he had originally sent you to get on the main road. So you can trace your steps back very easily. Nothing's changed. Your mounts are still waiting for you when you reach the road, and it's a brisk ride back to Orishire. You pass many travelers on the road, couple merchants, nobody that really stands out to you when you make the journey, and you can head back to the City Guard Keep in Orishire. You do notice that when you get there, there is a gaggle of diplomats outside, kind of huddled around where the training dummies are and where all of you have practiced at some point for a little bit, and then where Kovita and Matilda had their fun little duel at one point. It's not being used for dueling right now, but it is like an area that is wide open. There's seating around it, and it looks like diplomats have kind of gathered there on their own to talk among themselves. As you guys ride in and pass this area to the stable, you notice this. You do see Scalea with the other Silver Knights there. They seem like they're standing in the center of the group. They might be like moderating or being the ones that are called the meeting or something like that. As you ride past, you note that you've seen the Silver Knights in their actual regalia before when they showed up about a week ago after Scalea's injury. And again, they wear that very beautiful handcrafted plate armor that is silver blue with hints of gold in it. They have beautiful tabards on them that have the emblem of the Silver Knights, which is a sword and a spear crossed with kind of a wreath behind it. And then an outline of a geographical feature that might be like an outline of Arlia or something like that. You've never seen Scalea in that armor, because the armor that she was wearing when you met her that was like melded with the dress that she was wearing as the disguise was much more practical and not showy kind of thing. But you see Scalea wearing the full getup, and hers has a sash across it that is kind of a deep purple. She has her rapier in a very almost flamboyant scabbard that catches the light because it seems like it has some kind of a gem-like embellishment on it. And as you guys ride past, this is probably the first time you've seen her very serious, very regal, and definitely looks almost like somebody you might not approach because of the guards around her, what she's wearing, the standing. Like, she definitely looks like she fits in the noble diplomat crowd, kind of the exact opposite of what you've experienced with her so far. But as you ride by, she catches both of your eye and tracks you for a moment. You wouldn't need a check for it or anything. You wave at her. So you wave at her, and in
the royal.
and in the royal.
Practice your royal wave.
Yes. No, yeah, Vander doesn't do that. I see Vander going exactly like that.
That's why you were banished.
Vander as a child and couldn't get the royal protocol down and embarrassed the family. New headcanon.
No, you're right.
She makes eye contact with you, and then you can do the wave at her, and it looks like she was like mid talking to the group or something like that, but she like tracks you, sees the wave, and breaks her character for a moment, and it just goes like that, like just makes a funny face and goes, and then goes back to talking flawlessly, and then you guys proceed on to the stable. So can turn your horses in, and we will say that, it's only been barely 2-3 hours at this point. 3.5, 4 hours, sorry. Hour and a half each way, roughly, and then time to investigate and stuff. So Sonny and Cree probably still working on those sendings, hanging out in the quarters still.
I'm going to do the dramatic, Disney riding in on a horse. Like, the horse has barely moved. I jump off. I go to Cree's door and I kick it in.
Miracles!
Tall one found Agvir.
I'm sorry, what?
Vander, get over here faster.
Oh, get off the
Yes,
horse.
what the hell did you kick the door in for?
Dramatic effect.
It works. I'm a
This
fan.
dramatic,
What did you
dump the
just say?
sword on the ground.
Dumps the sword on the ground.
There's a sword on the ground.
Vander walked in and just dumped the pieces after she said dramatic effect. Vander said, "Oh, well, for dramatic effect," and then dumped the sword out.
That does not look good.
Looks a lot like Colin's sword, doesn't it?
Tolwyn, you all said I was crazy for thinking Tolwyn would find.
It seemed highly unlikely, but everything is burned to the ground.
What happened to Agvir?
Don't know. I mean, there's no bodies. So unfortunately, Tolwyn probably still alive, but fortunately, Agvir probably still alive.
I'm going to send a message when tomorrow. Damn it! Neswin! So on our list of priorities, Agvir being kidnapped is... I mean, it's up there, certainly.
So we have 3 things to figure out right now, right? High priority?
I don't know.
I mean, potentially, getting information on how to find Matilda will also help us figure out how to find Agvir.
Okay.
And then we should figure out what happened with the entire world.
3 things.
What the what?
Oh, but, you know, the
The drink. It's the Inquandir.
Of the entire world. Yes, we're still taking that on.
yes, I want to know who the lady in pink is. And she was very suspicious, and she was at our assassination, not in air quotes.
Did you say not in air
Organ.
quotes out loud?
I did. Since some of the newspapers have been putting it in air quotes.
Believe me, I'm more motivated to find the lady in pink than, no offense, than anyone. I mean, she was there with Giovanni, and but Matilda is obviously very in not peril, but obviously some form of urgency. And then there's Agvir, who's probably alive, but I mean they've probably kidnapped Agvir, so I mean Agvir's most certainly alive. But basically, I mean, why leave the sword? I mean, there must have been some scuffle and the house is on fire, and I'm not going anywhere with this train of thought.
It does not seem like you are now.
How many people are we trying to find?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
3.
Okay.
Agvir, Matilda, Lady in Pink,
Lady
Giovanni.
who is pink.
Oh, yeah.
oh, Pink Lady,
Mhm.
Giovanni,
Uh-huh.
my mom. Who else? But that's for me.
No, that's 6.
That's fair. We did find my dad. We should find your mom.
No, we need to find your dad again.
My dad, Giovanni, is low on the list of priorities.
No, he's not.
I mean, no, I care about Giovanni, but they're either fine or they're not. We have no leads. Matilda, we have a lead. Agvir,
Maybe if we follow the lady
lead.
with who is pink, we find Giovanni.
Agvir, we have.
Precisely. She's
So 2 and
definitely
1.
gallivanting around somewhere.
Okay, Agvir, Matilda.
Some of
Pink
these
lady.
might be at least a little in the same direction, but
Why are we in charge of this?
I don't know.
Because we survived the hallucination.
And we caused these things. Some of them.
Yeah, some of them.
Not helping Vander.
Listen, at the very least, with the pink lady, if we find out more information, we could pass that off to a higher authority.
Sure. I mean, obviously, people. I mean, I was in bed and people were freaking out over the whole deal. So it's obviously reached a certain, I can't think of the word. It's global. People are aware of it.
Yeah.
And we have friends in high places. They could have connections to help us.
I mean, yeah, we've got the conglomerate contact. Oh, yes, we have a conglomerate contact, which might be cool. And you have your friends' family.
If they're alive.
If the
Who?
Treetop family.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, we have our families who are in dubious states of peril.
I mean, the assassination was obviously bullshit. I mean, those people were egotistical losers.
oh,
That's
those
not-
people. They're not my family.
No, I know that, but they claim to have killed your family.
Oh.
And there's no way that. I mean, I could have taken them in a fight, and that's saying something.
Everyone just staring at Cree like, really?
I've gotten more buff. It's in my backstory.
If you think so.
You could dangle on me, you know, like a child would their papa.
And do pull-ups.
We've gotten sorely off task here.
We need joy.
We can't do all of this ourselves.
No.
No.
I say we talk to our friends.
We should, and I think obviously the guard are going to want to know about somebody burning down a cabin so near the city.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah. And I will say, I think the fact that the sword is in bits means Agvir put up a good fight.
Oh, yes.
So I do kind of feel like he might be taking care of himself. Like, things might be okay.
You did not see anything else?
Literally nothing else.
Agvir did not do so well last time.
Right? But there was no body. And there's a broken sword.
Fire has to be very hot for there to not even be bones.
Yeah. And
I will reach out to Tolwyn myself tomorrow.
You're going to what?
no,
I'm sorry, what?
no.
Look, okay,
Reach out to Agvir.
run with me here.
I can talk to this Tolwyn person. He doesn't know me.
No, magically. I'm not approaching them. I'm not insane. I can't take Tolwyn in a fight, I assure you. No,
You tried once, despite me saying not to.
I've learned a lot since then. We've gained a lot of insight towards how these type of ne'er-do-wells behave, and frankly, we know that we have something that Tolwyn wants, and I'm sure Tolwyn has gleaned that information from Agvir, or, I mean, Agvir's pretty tough, perhaps he hasn't, but either way, we bluff to
What does
get
he want?
some information and to ensure Agvir stays alive, because that is our goal.
What does he want?
I don't know, some sort of magical...
Tree pod
That.
that Agvir has.
What?
We left it with Agvir.
Why didn't I thought we had... No, we were going to take it. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Well, maybe my bluff is a little more complicated than I thought.
I could have sworn you did have it. You showed me it.
No, I thought I showed you
No,
just
Half-Pint
my
wanted to keep
tree
it.
drop.
There's the sapling, right?
Yeah.
Hmm?
So I thought we left it with Agvir.
No, Half-Pint wouldn't get rid of it.
Then
But eventually, Half Pike couldn't pick it up.
Right.
It bonded with me. Do I have a tree? Do I have a tree pod on me?
You are still in possession of
Yeah,
the
I was gonna
sapling.
say.
Okay.
You had it. The whole reason was it was eventually going to go back to Treetop at some point.
Right,
You
right, right.
kept it. You kept it in one of your bags, and it's been in the diplomatic quarters since. For the most part, you weren't carrying it around, but you do have the sapling. Yes.
Bargaining chip.
Yes, retract all of what I just said. Yes, that could be an interesting plan.
Yeah, we did consider leaving it with Agvir, but
Right.
decided not to.
I'm not saying we give any more information than we must divulge. I would just like, proof of life would be nice. Maybe a few jabs into that egotistical jerk. Frankly, I think, all things considered, this is a pretty sound plan. We don't do that very often.
It's better than most of your plans.
I was thinking that...
Yeah.
Yes. I have no ego. I can't even say I've gotten buff.
We can change that, at least.
Yes, okay, I have a confession to make, and I'm like, Gaspard like looks like their normal self. Like that was an I was just making myself look more buff, okay? Sometimes
No, it's
okay.
no,
Agree, it's okay.
okay.
We understand. We all know how this works.
Good. I just felt a little more on edge. Anyway,
It's fine.
I'm here to help. I do not want to do anything without permission or approval of the group.
I think
I'm
we're all on board.
okay with this plan, yeah.
Or maybe.
Could
Yeah,
talk
so
to
I think
Safari.
either him or Agvir is a good call, and we can make sure that the guard knows that someone burned a cabin down near the city.
Yes, and Agvir pointedly has not responded to me previously, so Agvir may have been captured for quite some time.
We don't know, yes.
You could collect a whole bunch of sending scrolls like Satari has.
Sure, yes, if you guys would like to procure them. I mean, the last time we obtained this from Matilda,
Yeah.
they weren't cheap either.
Oh.
But still, we have other leads, and I will submit to the group until I can send my idle threat to our good friend Talwyn.
Alright.
Well, yeah, let's go tell the guards. Just in case they know, though. I'm sure the town is safe. This seems like a very personal vendetta.
I genuinely can't tell if Kira's a little bit dumbfounded by this turn of events or just waiting for us to do something and step on it.
Finally, this has come to light.
I'll pick up the sword pieces, and I think take them to Satari.
Okay. Want her to take a look at them and see what she can glean from them, kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe it'll help her in the tracking magic too.
Are you gonna go drop them off to Star? You guys going as a group?
Up to you guys.
I'm gonna just talk to the guards and let them know, like, hey, at this point there's a burned down house, just so it's on your radar.
Yeah, you can talk to some of the guards around the diplomatic quarters, and they'll seem concerned about it and take some notes and promise to pass it on to Kovita.
Yeah.
So, and then is anybody going with Vander to Satari?
You're coming with me.
Sure.
Okay.
You don't get to say.
Okay. So Kree and Vander then. All right. Well, it's a busy, bustling day in Orashire, and you guys have taken this path oh so many times, so you can quickly make your way over to where Matilda's Emporium once stood, and now in the empty, abandoned warehouse is Satari's research center, set up with the big desk in the middle of the giant room with papers everywhere, and you catch her in the middle of running some sort of experiment over in one of the corners where she has multiple green and blue runes kind of flickering on the wall, but the second that you walk in, she kind of looks over her shoulder and has a smile on her face, like a curious smile, as if she knows that you're bringing something interesting. And she's waiting for you.
I
Hello.
got you a sword.
A sword?
Yes, it's from what's their name?
Tolwyn, they were a rune knight.
And how does this tie in with Matilda? And she walks over really curiously and like extends her hands and takes the satchel from you and walks over to the desk and kind of knocks some of the scrolls off onto the floor and drops it down and opens it up and starts to kind of look at it as she waits for an answer.
It probably doesn't.
It's more of what's your friend's name? Agvir.
We had a scholarly friend, Agvir, who was studying a bunch of interesting things with runes, and they had an enemy, Talwyn, and Talwyn may have killed them. And we'd like to figure out...
Maybe you could see what you can learn from this sword, because he's a rune knight.
Ah. You all have many interesting adventures going on right now, don't you?
I wouldn't call them that.
And also, if you would be okay with it, could this one borrow some of your scrolls of sending?
Of course. I think I have 4 over there, and she points at like a stack of scrolls and papers off near one of the columns that used to have ivy on it. Take what you need. I can look at this right now and see if there's something to be gleaned from it. It looks like a standard enchanted sword. I doubt it was anything too impressive, at least by my measure. And she kind of gathers it all back up in the cloth, takes a couple steps back, drops it on the floor unceremoniously, and then reaches in the pocket of her dress and pulls out a rather comically large monocle that is on a chain. And she holds it up to her eye, and one of her eyes, and closes the other one and looks down at it and kind of starts walking in circles around the sword for a minute or two. And you both notice that the sword seems to respond in some way, and you see brief little flickers of blue magic through what remains of the runes on the sword. So she's going to spend a minute doing that. Are you going to go grab those sending scrolls?
I take all four. Of,
Okay, yeah.
I'm like showing her like I'm taking all four.
Yeah, you just get a mild wave of just like, yeah, it's good. So you have 4 scrolls of sending, each one use, of course. So, all right. So Satari spends a few minutes kind of pacing around the sword on the floor, and eventually she kind of squats down and gets close and picks a piece up and moves her monocle around and like looks over it, and you hear her softly casting an incantation under her breath, in Infernal, it sounds like. Nothing obvious happens that you can see. Eventually she stands up and kind of shakes the monocle out, and you see like brief red sparks fly off it, and she tucks it back in the pocket in her dress and goes, well, this was a very powerful sword, to say the least. It had a sea of enchantments on it, most for combat. This isn't anything surprising to you, I assume, or it shouldn't be, given the nature of the weapon and how it appears, and the fact that it belonged to a rune knight. It looks like, as far as I can tell, it was broken by a very powerful counterspell, is the best way to say it. That term doesn't do it justice, though, because a counterspell can't break a weapon. You said your friend worked with runes, this scholarly individual?
Yes.
There are purported, not that I have seen them myself, there are defensive runes that say if you struck a defensive rune with a weapon like this, if the rune was significantly powerful enough, more powerful in a way than the sword, which would be an impressive feat, it could cause this kind of a shatter. Many other things could have broken the sword as well. I can't say specifically, but there is some interesting residue on this that seems like it was hit with a ridiculous amount of counter-magical force. And the only way I know of doing that is runes, but that's not really my specialty, to say the least. But it does look like, if I had to put some form of money on it, I would say that it was broken trying to strike a rune. Best guess.
So, the perpetrator struck a rune, which counterspelled the runes on the sword and caused an explosion?
In a way, think of it if you put two chemicals together that reacted, or two opposite powers meeting. It could have been intentional. Your friend, the rune maker, could have had a defensive rune that was designed to do something like this if it was struck, or it could be one of those magical happenstance moments that wasn't planned for, where due to the nature of the runes on the sword and the rune that was struck, it was an unforeseeable glitch that happened. The two types of magic didn't play well together. The runes didn't play well together. Rune magic is its own sort of interesting beast, so I assume intentional if your friend was a sort of scholarly practitioner of runes and study this sort of thing. It could be accidental as well, which caused the violent breakage of the sword and probably a ridiculous torrent of magic, at least in the short term.
That's a lot of words.
All I got from
Kind of my
that-
speciality is lots of words.
Nice.
I don't like this power was only stopped because this power was so powerful, and then this powerful object was...
You could also look at it from the way of just a funny coincidence too. It doesn't have to be massive power or anything like that. It could literally just be one of those weird magical interactions that has not been documented, at least, or the documentation's been lost to time.
There we go. A fluke. Yeah, it just happened. I guess fine. Thank you. That's so there's no way to trace the magic back to the creator.
Oh, no. Wait, trace which part of it?
I mean, I mean, we're looking for the man that created the sword.
Oh,
I mean, that would be...
no, not...
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Or the rune that destroyed it.
You can't really trace someone like that for the most part. It's not a theory because it actually is how we have studied magic for many years at this point. Every caster that casts pretty much any type of magic does have their own unique signature, so you can, in a way, trace someone to something that they have cast, but it's more in the sense of if you had 5 individuals in the room, and one of them was the one that made the sword, using the correct spell work, you could discern which individual enchanted the sword. But you can't, per se, like trace them around the world or something like that, if that's what you're hoping to gain from this. I can see the vibrations and the magical imprint of the violence that tore this apart, and I can glean from that what I've told you so far, but I can't track either person or anything like that. If that was possible, that would be a very profitable and very dangerous section of magic to practice.
Hydrate.
Oh. We already got a hydrate.
I already did it.
Did you do it? God.
No, I didn't do it. They did.
Okay. You didn't do it.
But I took a drink.
Oh, the behind the scenes crew did it. Aha, thanks guys.
And
Yes.
next time we see Professor Satari, we should definitely bring Sadi along to,
Translate.
yes.
I mean, I can understand a little bit of it, but I'm not too into the arcane. But I understand.
I mean, I'm not even using any of the complicated words. This is just general.
That doesn't make me feel better.
She laughs. It's just, I would definitely try and explain a piece of it again if you would like me to.
No, I mean, we got our answer. I just,
The answer's no.
yes.
Yes?
No.
Oh.
So yes, next time we see you, we'll bring Sonny. I appreciate all the information that you can keep the sword and I'll take the scrolls and we'll...
It's definitely interesting to say the least. It's a standard Rune Knight construction and build and stuff, but the fact of the method of destruction is interesting, and I'm sure both myself and my students could glean something from it, if just not using it for practice. So,
Of course. Hey, if you find any way to, counter such magic, let us know. We could definitely use that.
I think your friend would probably be the one to talk to if you can find them, because, as I said, even though there's a chance this was one of those very odd, unexpected interaction moments, it was probably intentional. And rune magic is quite complicated compared to, you think arcane is complicated in general. Rune magic is its own set of complex calculations, and I don't even want to get into it because I will rant for an hour or so, and I don't think you're my audience for that, or the audience that would appreciate that. Speaking of Sani, though, and she reaches down and kind of sifts through the papers that are on the desk and eventually finds it on the floor and reaches out to you and hands a really roughly rolled up scroll. These are my findings on your friend, somewhat formalized. I will be staying here a bit longer to finish up my scholarly research, but I truly don't believe that there are any more, for lack of a better word, threads that I can pull in regards to Matilda. I presented it in a very formal manner there for both of you, and I'm sending a copy to Covita and the council as well. But my official sort of diagnosis of the situation and what I can glean here from my research is that it was intentional and she triggered it.
Okay.
She wanted to get away. She might have been threatened. There could have been something that happened. But she pulled an escape hatch and went. It was an incredible feat of magic. I still have questions about it, hence my research here. But I cannot find a single shred of evidence that she was under duress, attacked, or anything like that. Then again, my methods are very limited, but I have extended them to their max, and I have conducted exhaustive research at this point. So I believe, at least in my scholarly opinion, that she did this willingly, and you will have to wait for her to resurface or find her through some other means. As for what happened to your poor friend, the elf, with the blood in the nose and that thing, I made some inquiries to my sort of scholarly network, and it's not unheard of to have curses that can be placed on individuals, objects, or other living things that can be triggered with a sending spell, a seeing spell, a scrying spell, for instance. It's a pretty nasty form of curse. I guess you could also call it offensive magic. It's killed your friend.
Dear me.
It's quite concerning. My colleagues had many questions about it. The last time that this was truly observed by a friend of mine was during one of the prior wars in their nation, and it was often used on diplomats.
So their entourages couldn't keep tabs on them or find them? Or
The specific example I was provided was two cities in this conflict when they were at the peak of battle and one was about to invade the other. There were cursed objects given to the diplomats sent to make peace with them, so on the return home, nobody could contact them.
Let's take a break now.
Okay, yeah.
Our bit rate just killed the stream.
Oh, no. Okay, we're having some technical... Are we still on? Okay. No.
Oh, I see. Yeah, we're frozen.
No, it's going again. Going again?
Well, we just went to... We'll be right back.